It's one of the nice things about living nomadically. If you don't like where you are, you just moved on to the next spot. And as pretty as Paynes Prairie was in the previous episode, we didn't like all those trees falling everywhere. It took a while for us to notice just how many tree limbs were about to fall. It was really, really stormy for the 2-3 days that we were there. And that had a lot to do with it. You know, the last night we were there, we could barely sleep because it was so stormy and the stuff was about to fall. So it's funny, one of the aspects of control is also who you live next to. Where we lived in San Diego, we lived in that house, the last house we lived in for 13 years. We had a lovely neighbor, and this stick has history. More history now because the new awning we bought has a big metal cover. You know, it's one of those metal covers that rolls up the entire thing and protects us from the sun. Really fantastic. We absolutely love it. This RV is so low that when we opened the door, it would rub. So we were waiting to see exactly how much, and it's already showing signs of a rub. So we're like, okay, we can't have that. How can we prop it up? So this is the only stick we brought over from the house. I know, we're so silly. We used to use these sticks in San Diego because Brian and I are like mega gardeners, and we used to use them to prop up plants and stake plants that were being windblown and things of that nature. So we had a ton of these, and the way we got them was we bought 2x1/2 cedar wood, you know, like at any, like a Home Depot or whatever, and we cut them all in half. So we had like at least 40 of these because we used them all over the place. To make a long story short, the day we were cutting them, our lovely neighbor just was beside himself. Not necessarily because of the noise. It was any excuse, you know, to be on his bad side. He just went back to the couch that he had in the front lawn and let us finish our work. So we finished cutting all these things, and we used them for years. We did this like, oh my goodness, like 8 years ago. When it came time to leave, we couldn't throw away the last 4 we had, so we actually brought them with us. And this is the last one. And guess what size we needed in order to hold up our new awning in order to open our door. I know, a long story to come around to that. It's about the control that you have in order to live certain ways. And this RV, that's one of the beauties that we found regarding this RV and the Class A we used to have. And that's the amount of control we have over the equipment and how it's put together and how we can customize it and all that kind of stuff. Like the fridge, sad to say, the gas, nobody seems to know how to repair it. So the last tech we had out is actually saying just buy a new one. So buying a new one, we're doing some research and we're looking at the 12 volt DC fridges. So with our huge battery bank, 5 amps, and that's when the unit is on. And it's a compressor unit, so similar to the residential refrigerators. The leveling thing is not that big an issue. We have solar. So we're considering putting it ourselves, because that's the other thing about control, is that we're kind of tired of people just really messing up our unit. The fridge, we feel, got messed up because when we were put the RV in for repairs at Tri-Am RV Center in Ocala, they put the plug back into the controller 1 pin down. So we think they fried the main control board. You know, no confirmation on that, but it used to work before, you know, they had it working before they did that. So far, we're still handy enough to do a lot of this stuff ourselves. That's the story for today. The kids are letting everybody know they're here.
I forgot how to work this thing.
Our little cart. Here we are going to do some laundry. It's a great oval over here, and the kids on their scooters, they just love going around and around and around. So yeah, our little blue cart lets us carry the kids. It's a beach cart, it's a laundry cart.
It's an ice go-getter. No.
We're gonna take advantage, start the laundry up, and take a little tour of the park. I must admit, we've been here before. This is one of those places that we have that we know we can rely on because they'll always have a spot. Half the spots here are water only. We just got rushed by the children. So I don't even know what I was telling you about, except that this is one of the parks that we like. It's a Forest Service park, and most Forest Service parks are kind of like self-serve. You come in and they have a little kiosk up front where you drop your payment off, and then one of the hosts comes around and they just check and give the the documentation over to the rangers, and they make sure that everybody pays and stuff like that. But basically, you don't have to, it's not a check-in, check-out type of place. You just take a spot that's available. And like I was saying, half the spots here are water only. So that's one of the things we love about places like this, is that no matter what, it's right in the way. It's near Lake City, so it's right in the way for where we cross in and out of Florida. And it's a spot we always have. Here's the laundry. It's a great place to come. When we were leaving Gainesville unexpected overnight, we weren't worried about it because we know that this place would always have a spot for us. This Forest Service park is unusual a little bit in the sense that it has a washer and dryer. We love that. Looks like a little garage door with a washer and dryer. They're really awesome. They have these little card slots where you can put a card in to pay. $1.75. That's not bad at all.
Card only, which is different.
Which is nice, because sometimes we don't have the coin. These Forest Service parks are really cool because of that self-service, no reservations. It's expensive, those reservations through Reserve America can get expensive especially if you're only staying for 3 or 4 days. You stay for a couple of weeks, it kind of evens out a little better. These places don't have reservations, so the cost is down. They don't have taxes. So when they say $18 a night for the electric sites and $12 a night for water only, that's really all you're paying. When you find parks like this that you can come back to, you get that sense of you're not as floaty because there's always a place to go. The first time we were here was right before Hurricane Michael hit. And we were here for a couple of days and they evacuated us. We've only been evacuated out of our place a couple of times. One was because of fire and the other one was here because of the hurricane. These are the water sites right here. And literally we've camped in this one before because it's so cute. And the lake is right there as your background. And it's not as buggy as you might think. What is that? Is it a dead salamander? Is it a leech?
I don't want to touch the water.
Give me a stick.
Oh, it is.
What is it?
It's a baby alligator. No.
No. I think it's a salamander.
Yeah.
It's dead.
Can you flip him over so I can see the legs?
I can't, baby. This is not strong enough. It's not wanting me to do it. You gotta find a stick.
It might be alive and holding on.
It's probably just sleeping.
It could be. Yeah,
it's a baby snake.
No, don't say that.
I think
You can barely see the legs.
I know.
Oh, it's a baby snake.
I know. That made Brian jump.
It's like a snake.
I'm not as scaredy as you think I am. Yeah.
These are the water only sites. So it's awesome because water is the only resource that you can only carry so much of, and there's no way around it, right? Now that we have solar, we can pretty much camp here without too much of an issue. We were going to do that this time around. It's one of the reasons we wanted to stop over here is because they have these water sites and they're so inexpensive, especially for Florida. And we wanted to try out our boondocking skills without suffering the water issue too much in a really nice place. And we know, like right now, there's not one RV camped in the water section. After exhausting ourselves for those couple of days battling the wind and storm at the other park, and we saw that an electric site was open, we were like, we'll just crash here and recoup. Yeah, time for a break. Doesn't seem like you would need a break. It's not quite vacationing. I know a lot of people get that impression.
Well, some of it's vacation, but not all the time.
This is the cute little beach and pavilion area that they have here. It's got the netting that protects the little inlet over here. So we just promised them that we'll come over when it's a little sunnier. If it gets sunnier in the next few days, we'll see. because we don't know how long we're going to be here.
Yeah, that's the number one thing of everywhere we go.
Yeah,
How long will you be there?
I know.
Enjoy it while you're there, because you might be there for 1 day or 2.
And that's the control that you have in these kind of parks, is that you don't have to make a reservation. You can show up anytime. They'll always have a spot because of all the water only areas. Nobody hardly uses those. You can come and go as you please. It is absolutely the best.
Yeah.
This one has to be my favorite. I tell you what, look at this little private cubby that you have over here.
Wow.
We're gonna have to camp here one of these days. Not sure why they have the picnic table right in the middle of the driveway.
Spot next door.
I don't think it's a subtle message. I think a lot of people don't use this spot, so they put the picnic table in the middle so that they can mow. This might be a keeper.
Look, we got our own sign, because kids will be playing right here.
That turns to dirt, dear. So this park has a really unique part to it. All the way at that end is the electric water sites. Then in the middle here is the water only sites. And then at the end, through this dirt road, it goes in a loop, is the tent camping sites. They have this peacefulness to them for some reason. I wonder if it's because the blacktop reflects sound. I don't know what it is. It literally is empty. There's at least 15 spots. So quiet. As I hear Papa from the distance.
Yeah. Shoot. Look how well I'm doing the car. It's much better here.
We found some firewood.
I think that's all of it.
You gotta keep our eye out.
We're looking for firewood. Come on, let's check this campground out. No firewood here. No firewood here.
Wow, that one's got satellite TV and everything.
What do you think that's for? You can try to look up it. Yeah.
Can you give me a flashlight?
No, I don't have a flashlight with me.
I can't see anything. I don't see the bats.
No, it's hard to see the bats. They're really little and they go all the way up. So as we're drying out some things, I'm taking advantage and testing our generator before we need it and then test it, and that's a bad time to test it. These little Hondas, turn it on, turn the choke on. So let's see how many pulls this takes.
It has to just flow, man.
Yeah, I know. But this is how it sounds, and I'm on the loud side. So we're just making sure that everything works on it. These little Hondas have EcoBoost, which they basically throttle up and down. That's with EcoBoost. That's without. And what we usually do is we plug something into one of the outlets. And right now I'm using my fan as a tester. These little generators behave differently under load. So I just turn on the fan. The fan is plugged in. It's got 12 volts DC, works on EcoBoost, on off. If you're gonna have a big load like you're charging your batteries, you probably want to have it off EcoBoost, because EcoBoost gives it a lag time and it can overload the little generator. These little Hondas are probably one of the more expensive ones, and they say that they're some of the quietest. If I had to do it again, I don't know if I'd go with something like this, especially since they're so expensive. All right, let me turn this off. So I'm going to take a quick moment and show you guys the business end of one of these little generators. They're all very similar, even the bigger ones. This is a 2,000 watt generator. It's basically the little one that Honda makes. It's really great because it has an inverter built in. What that means is that you can plug you can plug 115 AC right off of it, like house electricity. And they have several types of DC outputs. It has an eco mode, which basically means that it adjusts its speed according to the load that you plug into it. So that's kind of a nice feature because it saves a lot on gas. The little tank only holds about a gallon, I think is what it is. So it runs out pretty fast. I think it lasts for us it lasted about between 6 and 9 hours, depending on the load and how fast, how hard the little generator is running. We hadn't started it for 7 months, but after one of you commented that your generator was on the fritz because you hadn't started it in a while, we started getting worried. Took a few pulls, more than normal. Usually these things start right on one pull. It doesn't have a primer. All you have to do is put it on choke, pull, and you got electrical. Generators are really good whether you're RVing or not. They're fantastic for emergencies. In Louisville, where Brian's family is, they lose power up there at least once a year, especially through winter, and it's never at a good time. Having a generator has really helped out. they're generators. And of course, if you RV and you don't have even when you have a built-in generator, because when you're RVing with kids, you want to have backup to the backup. After all that, let me tell you guys, we haven't decided yet whether we're going to keep it. We're trying to figure out how reliable our battery system and our solar system is. So the main reason I'm giving you a little lowdown on the generator is because that interesting night that we just spent at Paynes Prairie, the inverter charger that we have has a bad design in that if any fault is thrown by the inverter charger, it cuts short power even when you have it. What that means is, regardless of whether you're plugged in and the short power is working, if it threw a fault, you have to turn everything off, reset the entire system, disconnecting the batteries. Luckily, I put a disconnect switch on it. What happened with us was the batteries overheated, so it took it like 5 hours. I didn't know this at the time, why it wasn't starting. I had to do some serious research to figure out, okay, did our system just blow up? Because that night of the storm where limbs were falling everywhere, that happened. So right now I have it on the drawing that I'm going to put a bypass circuit so that if that inverter charger starts throwing that little fit that it did and disconnects it from power, even though we're connected, I'm going to make it so that I can just flip a switch and I get power to the main panel in the house. Because that's just the most ridiculous design I've ever seen. Why they built it that way, I have no idea. GoPower, you did bad. So I'm going to have to do my own thing. It's really simple. My goodness, flip the switch off. So I don't know why they didn't build it in there. These are the little bugs that we're trying to iron out before we leave our generator out of the picture. So for now, we're carrying it and make sure that we have this type of power regardless of our new system, because I'm still learning it. See over there? Yeah, it's booking. It's running. You can get closer. It's running fast.
What is it?
It's a little turtle, baby. I thought he was injured. He was right in the middle of the road over there.
Can you catch him?
He almost disappears in the grass.
I know.
Can you catch him, Dad?
No, we don't want to play with him because it looks like he might have been injured by, it was either a predator or
a car snipped him. But he looks fine. Oh yeah, he's darting it.
Yeah, he's
Look at his.
He's cute, huh, guys?
You see that?
It's a water turtle.
Yeah.
I think it can go to the water.
There's water everywhere here, though.
Yeah. She'll go where she wants to go.
It's going to the puddle.
She's just looking out. That's how turtles are. If they get scared, they go into their shell.
Was she going to walk in the forest?
I think that's where she wants to go.
Maybe you should put it in there. Can it touch itself?
No. We'll leave this one alone because it looks like it's been sick.
I'm trying to make her go to the forest where she wants to go.
You're not making her do anything. If you get too close, you just scare her. Might have been injured at one time, but it looks like it's doing fine now.
There's the turtle trap.
You see that? And there she goes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She just doesn't want to move anymore.
I know, because we came up on it fast. So here we are at the Pay Station. That's one of the nicest things about these parks. You just come to the space station, grab a little pay envelope, fill it out. You can extend your stay 1 day, 2 days at a time for 14 days. We love the flexibility, you know, as long as you're sitting there, just come down. Like right now, we just came down. We want to stay a little bit longer, so we're going to go ahead and extend it, put some money in there, a check, drop it in, and we're good to go. You know, it really is that easy. If they were all like this. Here we go.